tea. So we've got tea here, right? We have, no, wait, no, we don't. I thought we had tea, Jenny. She says it's kit sale. We had kits last week. Okay. Well, we have kits. Anyway, there are normally a 15% discount. Now they're 25%. Plus, you're going to get the printed copies of the Sprint Guide. That's volumes 1 and 2. That comes free. Plus, you'll get the guide itself for the Hot Melt 30. I mean, there's like a $50 value on that. So now's the time to get it. And just so you know, our L-glutamine it's coming in this week. Crave Water's getting really, really low. It is selling like hot cakes right now. So yes, it is. We do have the tea. I don't know what I'm saying. Yes, it is. If you buy 2, you're going to get 1 free. Yeah, we want to get this tea to you. It's, by the way, it's really delicious iced. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go make some after the show, get it going. But anyway, if you are at all thinking about, yes, I need to get my what happened here? I think everything changed. It did. I don't know what happened. Anyway, if you are thinking that you need to get your kit, go ahead and get your kit, because I've already said all of that. Jenny, what happened to the thing? Did it change did you change that while I was talking? I don't know what happened here. By the way, our quote of the week is, put down the pen someone else gave you, because no one ever drafted a life worth living on borrowed ink. Isn't that so good? I mean, I think that's every day. I think that is just everything. No one ever did it. Well, you know what though? If anybody here wants to get a kit and still get in on it, it will come without your L-glutamine. We will send that separately, and we will still honor those prices, because I did that. So I was reading that and I'm thinking, I know we're supposed to be doing tea. No tea there, but anyway, hello. I'm going to honor all that. I don't have my Crave Water sitting here, which is really a bummer, but I did drink it all this morning when I played pickleball. And I strongly suggest that you get it. It's just going to make such a difference. And I've noticed the bloating goes down tremendously. The muscle soreness is gone as well. Cravings are non-existent. It's just really great stuff. So you got to check that out. You can find that at savingdinner.com/CW. Plus, it tastes like lemonade. It's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Yes, yes, yes. Did you see what Jenny just said? If you want to get the sale price on the kits, just send her an email and we will honor that. I promise. You know what? Our goof is your game. And don't forget free shipping on the contiguous 48, lower 48. We do that. If you have, if you put an order in for $300 or more, we're going to give you free shipping. We do that because that's our thank you to you. Thank you for being the girls you are. And I think I've gone through all the things. So yeah, get all the things. Get all the things. You have a great weekend. I had a great weekend, you guys. I just had so much fun. And on Wednesday, we're getting a blue moon, you guys. So Mark and I are planning on getting some friends out and go in the middle of the lake on our boat. And we're going to go howl at the moon. Isn't that so much fun? Have you ever done that? I think sometimes we have to howl at the moon, don't we? Hi, Kathy. We have to howl. So this week, again, we're going to be talking about motivation. Do you know why we want to talk about motivation? There's a sort of mystery about it and people looking for it and everything. We understand and we know, and it's one of our principles, it's a guiding principle actually, that motivation comes after the fact, not before. That it comes as we do it, not before. But there's more to it than that, and there's some science, and that's what I want to bring in today as we go through all of this. Because I know right now that there's somebody who's sitting there going, oh man, I hope I can get motivated to do the Hot Melt 30. And I just want to tell you that yes, you can. Of course you can. And there's some science and some ideas here that are going to help you. Okay? You know, it's hard being a human sometimes because it doesn't always go according to plan. Don't you wish you could just hit the switch and everything would just line it up and do it, right? Well, if that were the case, wouldn't life be just a cakewalk? But it's not. You know, we find ourselves struggling and pushing against ourselves and, oh man, you know, tough. So what about if we looked at, you know, some tasks we're just averse to. period. That's just how it works. There's some things we just don't want to do, but still we have to do them. I always say, I don't want to clean the toilet, but I'm going to because I don't like what the consequences are of not cleaning the toilet. So I'm going to keep the toilet clean because it's just so much better to have a clean toilet. True? But that doesn't mean I have to line up behind this notion and this idea that I just love cleaning toilets. It's my life. It's my mission to clean a good toilet. It's not. It's just something that I have to do. Sometimes that's how we have to look at our tasks. And other times we have to maybe deconstruct them a little bit and say, I want this to be as part of who I am. And I want this to feel real and natural and what have you. We are very fortunate where we live here in Conisee Falls. And those of you who've been here last summer, you remember it. But it's by default, it's not an over 55 community, but there's a lot of people who are over 55. I have plenty of friends to hang out with who are, definitely my age. But everybody is active. And it's really fun being with like-minded, active people. But it took me a minute to get motivated to be active like they were active, right? And it took a minute. And I kind of pushed back against that and didn't want to do, I didn't want to go bike riding, didn't want to do this. Well, I did find pickleball. But the point is that oftentimes what happens with this is that we have to look at science. What is the science telling us about what motivation is, and how can we harness that science for our own good so that we can get into the place of motivation? Because I promise you, it's not going to come knocking at your door. It's not going to find you on the couch and say, hey, come on, girlfriend, let's get up. Let's go get doing these things. Instead, it's going to be a little different than what you think it's going to be. And I think we should talk about this because let's get excited. Let's get ready. And let's use this group enthusiasm that we have and this community and sisterhood that we have to really harness that energy and get to the place of starting the Hot Melt 30 in a way that's just out of the park. So here's some strategies you can get to motivate yourself. I'm going to go through 5 of them. I'm going to give you the science behind them and how you can implement them. And they'll be in the show notes, of course, for tomorrow. But if you're taking notes, the thing that I'm going to talk about is what it is, the science behind it, and how you can apply it. Okay? And I've got 5 of them, and they're good. I think they're going to be really super helpful for you. The first one is implementation intentions. Now, of course, that's always going to be that's always going to be a good one. And I love this one because I call it making an appointment with myself. And when you make appointments, and I've shared my story when I went to the doctor's office and I completely blew an appointment. I did not write it down. I wrote it down on the wrong day, even though I showed them it was on the wrong day on my phone. They still charged me. They charged me $50 for a missed appointment. It was my fault. And so I had to pay the penalty. And while I don't think that's great motivation for missing appointments, I do know that when you make appointments with yourself, you are putting a line in the sand and saying, this is what I'm going to do. And this is exactly what this implementation intention is. So you plan out where, when, and how you're going to do this particular task. And the thing is that ahead of time, you get to think it through. So you get to say, these are the conditions that I'm going to do it. This is the place that I'm going to do it. And the more we can automate it, the more it's going to be easier to execute. So, and that's kind of the place that it's taking a giant leap forward, from where you are, because that's what everybody wants to do. Hello, Mother Hen. It's so good to see you. Cheers. And I'm thinking about you because I don't have anything in front of me, but I do have this little fern with some water in it. Cheers. Anyway, the science behind this is it's called a journal psychological bulletin found that people who set specific intentions about when and where they would perform a new habit were more likely to follow through. Doesn't that make so much sense? Doesn't that make so much sense? Of course it does. Because if you have everything, you've got your workout clothes, you've got yourself an appointment at the gym, you've got blah, 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 blah. All of these, it makes things follow through. And you know what? You can add an extra layer of oomph to it by getting a workout buddy or getting somebody who says, I'm going to text you at 10 o'clock to make sure that you are at the gym and see how that whole thing works. So your application then is, if you dread, for example, going to the gym or whatever, decide in advance that it's 10 o'clock Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that you're going to show up no matter what. And that this is your appointment with yourself. And maybe you say, if I don't show up, there's a penalty that you pay or whatever. But all of these things will help add to the intention. It will help add to the motivation. And there's more to it though, right? This is just the very beginning of it. Just the very beginning of it. So Kathy's got all this interesting stuff about the moon. Nancy, the idea for accountability adds a whole new layer. And what I saw in the studies, it showed that when we're doing that, I mean, that's super active motivation right there. That's like saying, this is what I'm going to do. It's declarative and it's putting it out there, and it's getting people to rally behind you. Because oftentimes what we do is we see it as just the fact that we are doing this, that we're planning for it, that we've got it written down, and this, that, and the other thing. And then we end up not following through with it. So if we add in that extra layer of protection, so to speak, that's going to hit it right out of the park. That's going to get us to the place of 90 percentile of following through on that. Because the goal, again, is not just having a good habit, but having it become a part of who we are. A good example of this, and I always use my pickleball, but it's just really as a good example. So my pickleball thing has been that, because it's such an important part of my life and it's my physical activity, I do some other stuff, but it's the main one. And because of all of that, my community has changed, and I'm hanging out with people who are very active and also going out there. We make dates to go play together. And last night we had a big storm, so we got rained out of our couples group that we play with. And we went and had a big cookout at one of our friends' houses and sat out on their deck and, drank wine and played liar's dice. If you've ever played liar's dice, what a riot it is. We just had the best time and dinner together. And that's the whole point. And that's what we're trying to do with this whole level of, trying to automate it. Yes. Trying to get this thing written down and appointments and all of that. But also that extra layer where you are accountable with someone, so that next layer after that accountability is, this is just who you are and what you do. These are the people you hang out with. This is how all of these things suddenly change. It's a birth of a new you. And I just want you to grasp this, because it's exciting when this happens, because it's no longer hard and having to push through. It is now just delightful. And this is how you roll. And this is your life. Does that make sense to you? I hope so, because I just think it's just the coolest thing in the world. There's also this thing called the 2-minute rule. And the idea is to start a task and just say, I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. I'm just going to go for 2 minutes and lift weights. Well, I will tell you what's going to happen after that 2 minutes. You put on your clothes, you put on, like I say, your costume, pinkies up, Nancy, you're right. You put on everything, and then you drive to the gym, you get in there, and you just said, all I have to do is 2 minutes, and then I can leave. What do you think is going to happen after that 2 minutes? You're going to finish that workout, and you're going to feel really good about it. And so what we're using here is Newton's first law of motion. It states that objects in motion tend to stay in motion, right? Momentum, my friend, momentum. And you're already there. You did all of the work. That's the part. The danger zone is not putting on your costume, right? Not doing all of that. The danger zone is when you don't get in the car and you keep pushing back and pushing back. But all you have to do is commit to 2 minutes, and then everything kind of falls into place. So I will tell you, I think this is one of the most brilliant things ever. And, I've heard about other people doing this, and some people even just, all you have to do is drive to the gym and sit there in the parking lot and just consider it, maybe just go in and check out and all of this other stuff. I just think it's so great. Why don't we do things like this? You know, if we do things like this, it's telling our brains that we're serious and we get the opportunity to build a new neural pathway because it's all based on the pathways of our brains. You know, that pathway of resistance that's there, it's only hasn't been broken through because we haven't bothered to create the path. And that's what this does. That's what this does when we have the implementation intention. That's what this does when we use the 2-minute rule. We're saying, you know what? I'm not interested in this. I'm interested in this. This is the needle mover over here. I'm just going to do those things. I don't have to do anything else, just that, and watch what happens. Hey there, Teresa. So, but the third thing, of course, is has to be ladled on top of this stuff with heavily, right? And that's self-compassion and grace for yourself. So, and hear me on this because I know you're tough on yourself. I'm really tough on myself, and this isn't helpful because you would have if you had a friend who was struggling, who was going through all kinds of just saying, I just can't get motivated, I don't know what to do, and this, that, and the other thing. You wouldn't say, get over yourself. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You've got this. Come on. I don't want to talk about this. You wouldn't do that to her. You would love her up. You would say, you know what? You've got this. I have confidence in you. I know you can do this. What if you did that to yourself? What if we took the time to really love ourselves in that way and have it just be gentle and loving and kind and compassionate? If we do that, then this is what the research says. This was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin. I mean, they've got a journal for everything, don't they? All right. They found that people who treat their failures with self-compassion were more motivated to improve and avoid making the same mistakes in the future. So we don't give ourselves a pass, but we give ourselves a lot of grace. And we say, okay, so what can we now do? How can we self-correct? How can we create something new? Alice, I love that. I love that. This is, to me, what Alice is saying, motivation, momentum equals magic. That is, I did a whole series on that last year. It's true. It is true because when it starts to flow, there is magic in that. It feels really good. And I think that's another part of this whole thing is thinking about how you feel about something, or instead of dread, thinking about how you feel after you have completed the thing that you were dreading. How does that feel? And I've never heard one person say, well, it's just terrible. I wish I hadn't done it. Not a soul, not one soul. And when we've got the 2-minute rule in place and the implementation intentions and all of that, it just, you see what I'm talking about? It just flows. So let's keep that going because it really makes it just incredible. So if you've constantly been beating yourself up, you know, we just have to take a look at that and just say, you know, how helpful has this been? It hasn't been. It hasn't worked before. How about some grace? How about some self-compassion? And then just a little bit of analysis and correct a couple of things and see if maybe you need to pull back a little bit, push harder a little bit, whatever. But give yourself room to figure that out. Number 4 is dopamine. You know, I'll tell you what, I like anything that helps produce body chemicals. It makes you feel good. This is how we can overcome a lot of stuff. There was a study that was done showing that exercise and endorphins are more efficacious than prescription drugs. You can look that up. You know, you can look that up. But the problem is most people won't do it. You know, just give me the drugs. But there's another thing too, and that's the anticipation of a reward. That is a dopamine hit. And boy, do we love our dopamine, don't we? You know what that is? Dopamine is associated with motivation and, you ready for it? Pleasure. So you're motivated and you feel good. I mean, of course, isn't that what everybody wants? And so if we can drive and some results, we can get that reward. And by the way, your amygdala will take a hit of dopamine and say, thank you very much. She'll also take a seat. She'll also be a little bit more obedient, because that's who we're fighting right now, is the amygdala, is the fear center of our brains. So the science is interesting on this one. There's a journal called Nature, and they found that dopamine neurons, and these are the little cells, of course, that release the dopamine into your body, become activated when a reward is expected and drives up motivation. Cool. Let's harness that, shall we? We need to harness that. So, that this is a simple thing. I mean, how many of us have done this where we've rewarded ourselves for performing and getting a simple task done, right? Motivation can come in the form of a massage or a pedicure or whatever. I like to do something that's just a little bit luxurious and indulgent and nice and fun, and something that's maybe not normally in the budget. One of the things that I'm doing is I've got some stuff in my cart on Amazon I need some new pickleball clothes. All my stuff's starting to just hang on me. And so I've got that sitting there and looking in smaller sizes, yay. But that's my dopamine driven reward right there, is I want some new clothes. I want some stuff that fits. So number 5 is reframing your growth mindset, because you know what? The growth mindset, about Carol Dweck and everything, I love her. People who have a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges and persist in the face of obstacles and persist in the face of setbacks. And that's the growth mindset. And this is all about perceiving your task. I mean, how do you perceive this? Is it dreadful, or is it awful? Is it whatever? And I had a client that, I told you this story, that I worked with, and she was a coaching client, and she just, honestly, she used to say, I don't want to this, and I don't want to that, and I don't, whatever. And I said, you need to start looking at it like you get to, because you are privileged right now to be sitting in this chair as you are, as we're going through all of these things. You're sitting in this chair being coached by a nutritionist. You're paying for this, being able to go out and buy all this food, get your supplements. Is this really where you want to go with this? Or can we shift this mindset into, look what I get to do. I get to do this. I get to have a smoothie. I get to eat in an anti-inflammatory way. I am not stuck in any, situation at all like this. Not at all. It's a big reframe. And it's coming from the place of understanding that it's not always about our most base instincts, the most primitive of things. I don't like it. We're not 3 years old anymore. We're grown ass women who need to start looking big picture wise. Where are you in this life? I mean, I keep saying to myself, listen, Leanne, you're 65, and 60. I'm not complaining about that, but I am framing up the way my life is now is a whole lot different of a frame than when I was 55. I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at it, I've got a Medicare card, y'all. I mean, so I look at that, and I look at it from extraordinary pleasure, and extraordinary privilege, because here I am, as active as I am and feeling as good as I feel, better than when I was 55, and making goals and all of this. And if I can't see it from that perspective and just sit there and, well, man, I'm 65. I don't remember when I was so much younger. Boo hoo hoo. It's like same as these mothers who are always, oh, I don't want them to grow up. I don't want that. I'm sorry, but your son's 35. We have to be in the here and the now and celebrate that. Yes, Jeanette, it is a great privilege to get older. And it's a great privilege to get older and to plan for being healthier too, because it's true, you can be if you choose it. We don't get the life we want. We get the life we design, and we got to design it. And it's got to be we have to put the specs out. I will tell you, Mark, well, I don't have it right here, but he's got a plan that he took graph paper and he wrote all this thing out, and he knows how much wood to buy. He knows how much, stuff that we need. simply because he's taken the time to design this whole thing. I don't want him just saying, I'm just going to go to Lowe's and see what I can get. And, I'll just take back the rest. I mean, what a colossal waste of time and energy and probably material. And why do that with our lives? We can design the life we want. We get to do that. Every single one of us. We're all going to have some kind of constraint. Sure. That's life, guys. But the fact is, and this is motivating, by the way, it should be anyway, is that when we start to really think deeply about what our lives are, what our goals are, and what it is that we hotly desire, then that's the thing that we can create. So getting from here to there, gain and gap, we talked about that last week and all of that. Yeah, it's all there, but that doesn't have to stop us. And we can't say, sit on the couch and say, I just can't find my motivation. That doesn't also have to stop us. We can reframe it. We can decide that we have this growth mindset. We can decide that this is the stuff that we want. I mean, I can't think of anything, I can't think of a greater privilege. Can you? So, and I just want you to think about this. When you start saying, well, I'm just not really good at X, Y, and Z, and I don't really like doing blah, 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 and stop giving a voice to the negative and start giving a voice to the positive of what it is that you want. We know what you don't want. I know what you don't want. I know what I don't want. But why am I putting my energy, my voice, my everything to the stuff that I don't want? Instead, I can shift the whole thing and look at what it is that I do want. Yeah, I know there's obstacles there. And yeah, I'm just like, if you were telling me to eat a bunch of beets or something, I don't like beets. I'm just going to say they taste like dirt. Lots of people like beets. I'm not one of them. So I'm not going to eat beets. But I'm not going to give you a 30-minute lecture on why I don't want to eat beets. We're not going to go there. I'm going to tell you how delicious and how wonderful it is to go pick fresh basil from my garden. I'm going to tell you about the cucumbers that I've been picking lately and slicing up and eating. I'm going to tell you all about the things that I love, because that energy is what I want. That's motivation for more of that. And you know what I've been starting to do? And I invite you into this, my pinkies up, girls. This is the funnest thing that I've been doing, is that when I start getting really excited about something and it's going well, I always say a little prayer and say, thank you, more please, to God. Because, I swear, he is delights in his people. Delights. So when we're paying attention, we're just saying, oh, thank you, more please, You don't think that delights him, with a big, happy, grateful heart that we say this? More of this good stuff. Let's get motivated for that. Let's have our energy go to that and stop spending it on the garbage and the negative. And let me just say that, and I'm not saying Pollyanna, pretend that there's nothing awful out there. We all have challenges. But we all have an opportunity to put on a brand new pair of glasses and to look at the things that are supportive, that are right, that are good, that are going to get us what it is that we want. Because that's the whole goal. We can't do that if we've got our eyes on the wrong thing. So this week we're talking about motivation. I've got a whole heck of a lot. You know me, blah, blah, blah. I'll be talking about it all week. I'm really looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to getting ready for the Hot Milk 30. Pinkies up, ladies. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it well. If you missed any of the announcements, you're going to find them on the announcements page if you go to savingdinner.com/announcements. And you better believe I'm going to be here for Transformational Tip Tuesday, because I'm ready to deliver. Are you? I hope so. Can't wait to see you. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.